Now available. Paperback and Kindle Unlimited. ISIS, the main event. It's carnage inside of a steel cage when the goddess next door steps in the squared circle with the beast from the boss in this action-packed all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, the main event. Paperback and Kindle Unlimited today.
Hi everyone, it's your boy Sean, and I'm here with another comic review video. Now, during the 1990s, we had the start of what many people call the bad girl genre of comics. And that genre was one where we had these strong heroines who put on skimpy costumes while they took on the bad guys. And while many got caught up in the flash of these sexy ladies and their nearly not their costumes, a lot of comic fans did stick around for the substance in many of these comics. And two comics come to mind when you want to think about the best of the bad girl genre: Everett Hartso's Razor and Billy Tucci's She. And Billy Tucci's character She made her first appearance in Everett Hartso's Razor Annual #1, and she went on to become a fan favorite throughout the 1990s and onward. And the character of She is a very, very fascinating character, but what's even more fascinating to me is the story of how Billy Tucci got She to the marketplace. Because Billy Tucci, after he graduated college, started his own publishing company, Crusade Comics, in 1994 out of his bedroom. So when I think of Billy Tucci, he reminds me a lot of myself in that I'm working on SJS Direct out of my bedroom, and he came from those humble beginnings and went on to make She a very popular character and one that was very profitable for him, because the She character has been featured in numerous forms of merchandising, like the Dark Horse action figure, which I'm still looking to try to find, and other merchandising like the 1/6 scale She figure on the Phaeacian style body, which is completely seamless. So Billy Tucci has done an amazing job with Crusade Comics and the She character, and he has made her a very profitable character. Now, when the era of crowdfunded comics came along, Billy Tucci came into the marketplace with a business plan. And part of that business plan was bringing the She character back in a graphic novel called Return of the Warrior. And I had to put in my pledge for that comic because the She comics of the past were absolutely fantastic. And the crossover she did with characters like Wolverine, Daredevil, Vampirella, and I think Catwoman, they were all very compelling stories. And the character of Anna Ishikawa is a very compelling character. I mean, here is a woman who was born of a Japanese father and a Catholic white mother, and she is following the codes of the samurai, I believe, and she's trying to mete out justice. So there's a lot of very compelling things as related to the She character, and Return of the Warrior continues the high quality of stories that we got from Billy Tucci during his time in the 90s when he was writing the She character. Now, Return of the Warrior is set about, I think, 15 or 16 years after the last She story was published. But this story, while it's set in the future, is an entry point for new readers. So if you've never read any She comics in the past, you're not going to have any problem catching up on the character with this comic. And this comic brings you back to what made everything great about this character from the beginning. So this book is a great entry point for the new reader, and it's a great picking up point for the older reader. And that's what a good comic writer does. They want to make sure that every book is an entry point, and this book is an entry point into the character as she is now, while still giving you a great look into her past. And I had to get the Amanda Conner edition because I love Amanda Conner's art, and one day I hope to have Isis or E-Steam drawn by Amanda Conner. And I love the humor and I love the way she presents heroines in her art. So that's why I got the Amanda Conner edition instead of the regular edition. But this is just a great book overall. And I also got some great extras from along with the Amanda Conner edition. I got the Black Line edition autographed by Billy Tucci. I got some stickers and I got some trading cards as well. I didn't want to take them out of the pack because I don't want to damage any of these collectibles, and that's why I haven't taken them out of the pack. These extras are just too nice to mess up. So I'm keeping them in the pack, but I opened up the comic and I wanted to read it, but I also want to review it, and I want to show you some of the things that make this comic great. Now, the comic starts with a dream sequence with Anna and her husband getting ready to have a little, intimate action, and she's got on the costume, and they're getting ready to play around. But then this dream turns into a nightmare, and this nightmare is where Anna has to try to confront some of these demons from her past that she has to deal with. So this is a great opening sequence that really gets us to see some of the backstory of the character, and it also takes us into the character and shows us one of the struggles she has dealing with this internal conflict that she has to deal with as related to this code that she's following and dealing with her own inner issues. So this was a great sequence that opened the book up, and then that dream sequence transitions from this nightmare to the future, where we get a look at Anna Ishikawa's life right now. And your Anna Ishikawa now is a divorced mother of a daughter, and she's working at this botanical garden, and she wants to know, the daughter wants to know if she wants to take her to school. So we get an introduction to her. We get an introduction to her great-grandfather who taught her the Japanese culture and the way of the warrior. So we get this introduction, and it establishes the character. It establishes, what she wants, and it most importantly makes us care very early on. So we get a very good introduction to the character again in the first 3 or 4 pages, and that's what a good comic does, is it introduces us to these characters and brings us in. Even though we've been gone for so long, we still get reestablished to the character now, and we get reconnected to the character. Now, this sequence goes into another sequence where she's getting ready for work, and then they're getting ready to go to school, and then this goes into what happens here in the park, the botanical garden, which turns into a tragedy, which turns into the start of the mystery that is one of the things that motivates Anna to return to becoming the warrior once more. So we get some good build-up, we get some good suspense, and this murder brings us in. I don't want to spoil too much of this because the comic is so good. I just don't want to ruin it. Now, they're looking for suspects in this murder, and they're looking for the first prime suspect is Anna Ishikawa's ex-husband. So I'm not going to give away too much as related to the story because Billy put in a lot of hard work on this book. I mean, if you look at the art here, it is absolutely fantastic. And I don't want to take too much of the story away from the readers because I want you to go get this book yourself. But I will switch over to this sequence in the book where we see the warrior getting ready to return. And I like the fun sequence that shows us that if you put stuff in a closet for 15 years, yeah, it's going to dry rot and it's going to rip. So we don't just get, I'm going to come back here, put this costume on, and I'm going back to heroics. We get some balanced as related to the perspective, and we get some balance as related to the storytelling. So we get with this Return of the Warrior a really great return of the she character, and we also get a return that actually has some perspective, because Anna does modify her costume a bit because she is older. It's been 15 years later, so she's not wearing the old costume. She's wearing a completely more modified costume that fits these days and also is more fitting for an older woman, and a costume that still looks absolutely fantastic almost 25 years later. So I like the fact that Billy does show how the character, even though she is aged, still has an understanding of that she's still out here and has to change things. And that was really one of the good things I liked about this book, was we see a return of the warrior, we see that she's matured, and we also see that she still has the same passion for fighting the bad guys, and this time she is fighting to protect her daughter. So there's an extra motivation for the warrior to return, and there's more of a motivation for her to continue fighting against these bad guys. So this book when I was reading it, it really reminded me a lot of a movie. I mean, I know that Billy had a movie deal on the table with Tia Carrere, I think a while back, and that was supposed to happen. But when I read this, it really reminded me of a screenplay, and it really reminded me of one of those great martial arts movies. I mean, everything here is absolutely fantastic. The sequencing, the line work, the colors, everything just pops in this graphic novel, and everything in this graphic novel has you wanting more from the next issue. Now, you're going to have to get the next issue because this book ends on a cliffhanger, and with that cliffhanger, you're going to have to go out here and definitely put in your pledge for the next graphic novel. And that's money I would gladly spend for the next story in the She saga, because Billy Tucci did an absolutely fantastic job on Return of the Warrior. He did a great job of reestablishing Anna Ishikawa and reestablishing everything that made us care about the character in the past, while continuing to move her story forward into the future. And the future for this character is going to be very bright if Billy keeps this quality level up and keeps the standards high like he has for this graphic novel. If he continues to create great stories like this, the She character is going to be rediscovered by a new generation of readers, and a new generation of readers are going to see more past the flashy costume and see the great substance that Billy Tucci has put into this character. Now, he does a great job of showing us the Japanese culture and the culture of the female samurai in this series. I mean, it reminded me a lot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I love the way he incorporates Japanese culture and makes it fresh for new readers, and he shows us how this culture relates to Anna Ishikawa's mission and her dedication to this goal. So he shows us a lot in this story, and I really enjoyed this story. And again, I can't wait for the next issue of the She graphic novel series. I definitely am going to put in my pledge for the next book, and I recommend you go out and look for She Return of the Warrior. And I recommend you definitely if you can find an issue, go pick it up right now. And if you want to go to the next Indiegogo, definitely put in your pledge to not only get the next book in the She series, but also to pick up Return of the Warrior. You will be getting some fantastic comics that feature strong heroines, and these bad girls tell some very well-crafted stories. So you definitely want to pick up Return of the Warrior, because it's a return to greatness for the she character. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books featuring strong, sexy heroines, like the Isis series, the E-Steam series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, Spellbound, The Legendary Mad Matilda, and Spinsterella, you can find all of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find some of them on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more comic book review videos, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Coming to paperback and Kindle this fall, E-Steam Blast from the Past. Hell's aspiring angel takes on her demonic doppelganger in this time-traveling, action-packed E-Steam series adventure. Pre-order your copy of E-Steam Blast from the